संततं दैवसान्निध्यं देहे मे वर्धतां हृदि तवास्यां देहयात्रायां येन स्यात् निर्भयो जयः सदारविन्दसद्गुरो पदारविन्दभूमिका भजेहमानतश्रियो जयप्रदा सुरक्षिकाः ॐ आनन्दमयि चैतन्यमयि सत्यमयि परमे. We are beginning today this certificate course on the Vedic studies. Most of you have had association with us, Sakshi here. So, and also this certificate course, all of you have read some of our books. But always the education is a three-way process. There is, of course, a teacher is there, an individual student is there, but the students among themselves will interact with each other and perhaps pose questions. So that is the advantage of having a place where all the students meet together. So some of the questions they can ask each other and get clarifications before approaching. In this course, all of us, this open thing, you can ask any questions on any topic. Not only on the topics I have discussed, but also on topics I have not discussed. But I have a simple suggestion for you, since I have a little bit of hearing problem also. You can maintain a book of your questions. Before you write your question, we will give you a oral answer for you. Then you can see the pattern of questions which you are asking. That's very important thing. Are you repeating the question? Or the relationship between the questions you are asking? So any questions, of course, I can't say I have most authority, but I will give you my question. This, you see, in the Upanishads also the question answering is there. The Veda has a question and answer that is different. The Rishi himself put the question. Oh, I am an ordinary person, the Rishi says. But I am asking the wise people to reply to me. So he poses the question, but also suggests an answer. Hey, this is my answer. You people think differently, let me know. That is a typical Vedic idea of a question. You see it in the first mandala, 164th sutta. So that is the suggestion I have in some sense, When you ask a question, have some idea of what is the answer you have. So then, my answer need be that my opinion is superior to yours. That's not what I am saying. But you can always compare them. That is the whole idea of this exercise here. So, in some sense, I can tell you a little bit. When people may ask what is my background, you see, I have been giving short courses for students for over 40 years. First time in Purdue. In 1975, we started with a short course on the evening class once a week on yoga of Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. But my serious study of the Veda itself started around 85. As a matter of fact, some of the earlier essays were typed in by my secretary in America, Joe. And before I came to see, my life is 25 years in India. Then 35 years in the United States and back to India in some sense. So I have roughly more or less 30 years of study of the Veda. That's my qualification. So the purpose of Sakshi itself is threefold. It's what there will be two books here. You are getting volume 1. There's not the volume 2. Both of you are there. So you will start with volume 1 today. And volume 2, my request for you is, the earlier introductory essays, these are called Roman numbers, please read them also in both of them. And number two, even though it's later, some of it is very relevant even now. Therefore, just glance at that second. So, we won't need it today, we'll do it much time later because it's a 6 months course. As most of you know, the dynamics is we make 3 hours alternate Sundays. Today is the 8th, therefore you can go the next Sunday after, and same time. Sakshi, and my talk will be more or less overview of the course and what is you can expect and what sort of a background you need. All of this I will definitely answer the question. So Sakshi has 3 basic aims: the preservation of the Veda, and research into the Veda, and the propagation of the Veda. When we mean Veda, we refer to our earliest scriptures. There are the 4 of them, and that is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. We call them as Samhitas, that is connection, Samahita, placed together. Rig Veda completely is made up of metrical chants of the Gayatri, Yajur Veda has both metrical chants and prose places also. Most of you know at least of the famous the Rudra litany is there. And then Samaveda again is a subset of Rig Veda basically. Atharva Veda is 99% prose only, poetry only, but 1% prose is there. 4 of them are there. So when I say Vedic times, I refer to this period of the ancient Veda. Of course, we will ask questions about the date of the Veda or in invasion. I will handle it myself a little later, not now. But rough time of the Veda, at least is earlier to 5000 BCE, at least earlier to, because there is very hard evidence of Mahabharata war, 3000 BC roughly, before, based on about 40 astronomical things mentioned in the Mahabharata, therefore is much earlier than that. Say, for at least earlier, that's what I'm saying. Even some of the Western Indologists are beginning to agree because it's earlier to the Indus Valley civilization and that sort of thing. Yeah. Therefore, in some sense, you should ask the question, Veda are not only our most ancient, I use scriptures, but it's not quite correct because script means writing. Therefore, they were all preserved orally. For example, you heard our Bindu chant this mantra. Therefore, people say it is preserved olden days. It's not as simple as that. Was it preserved exactly in the same way 7,000 years earlier? Yes. So, in some sense, it has come down to us. That's the important point in some sense. And of course, the way we chant it, as a matter of fact, even in India, you see, if you go to Kerala, Kumbakonam, and Tamil Nadu, or Gokarna, Karnataka, Maharashtra, the chantings are different and everybody thinks they are the best. Therefore, whenever anything to do with speech, our local language has a great influence upon that. There was a famous professor in MIT, I forget, he's a very famous man. He could speak 16 languages and his friend always quipped, he speaks 16 languages in Russian, because Russian was his basic language in some sense. So that point we have to understand in some sense, the influence of that. So we don't, so we have preserved, and we are the only culture we have preserved that one. And the point why you have to think of the preservation, all of us know. We have to preserve the text, write translations and that sort of thing. What is research? Research means each we have 10,500 mantras are there. What are the main points there? We speak of the secrets of the Veda. Hey, what are those secrets? We speak of Agni, Indra, etc. We all think of manifest bliss. So, all of these different topics, we have to take over the mantras, for example, and then group them, publish small books. So we have about 50 of them. All these translations of the 4 books are in 28 volumes. So another 50 are there, and many of them are translated into Kannada also. That is research. Research is a very important point. What is it? to get to deep understanding of the various topics which are discussed in the Veda. Just to give an example, you see, one of the reasons I am pointing to is today there are two dominant things in our system. Okay, most of us, unfortunately, are influenced by the English media in some sense, and so that they have their two start. The first thing is, India was never a nation. It was really a creation of the British. That is the point. We have been saying that, and many people are repeating it. And because it is such a wide publicity, you people should know there is a quotation in the Rig Veda itself. The Rig Veda, 3rd Mandala, 53rd Sutta, 13th Matra, 14th Matra. Vishwamitrasya rakshati Brahmedam Bharatam Janam. Brahma in the Veda always means mantra. Vishwamitrasya Brahma, the mantra of the Vishwamitra. Bharatam Janam, the people of Bharata. Rakshati, protection. Vishwamitrasya Rakshati Brahmedam Bharatam Janam. This is the earliest reference in the Rig Veda itself. Of course, Vishnu Purana is much more interesting. It speaks of the land bounded by the mountains at the top and covered with the bottoms of the sea and that sort of things there. And many of you may not know, even coming back to sort of Alexander's times, what happened was Alexander, as you know, he defeated Porus. Then he turned back. What was the reason? So Alexander, as you know, was a great organizer. Therefore, he had his own people. Therefore, the idea was India is it a small country like Egypt, Chico or Euphrates, or is it a Bachi? Then they had their own, of course, they had earlier sent people, and all of them had a meeting perhaps. It was realized that it is again documented by several Greeks, including our Megasthenes later, that the distance between the Sindhu and the east is about 2000 miles, and the distance from the mountains to the sea bottom is about 2000, and it is roughly the shape of a rhombus or a quadrilateral. Not only that, it basically their administrators say that there are marked pillars with showing where the paths to various places, and that is Alexander's time, 300 BC. Even there, that was the idea. Therefore, people knew about a single land. It's not that. See, so the question again is, we didn't have the idea of a single kingdom. That is a Western disease. There are different kingdoms, but we didn't have to have visas and that sort of thing. When I speak of India, who creates the India? It is our pilgrimages. Therefore, everybody went, from south, Rameshwara, we had to see 7 Jyotir Pithas, or 7 Lingas, or of course, places connected with Sri Krishna, 4 places, you go to Ramakrishna, that is Sri Ramachandra. So, India was always connected by the pilgrimages. That is the side. And the time there, only 100 years ago, because of economics, the pilgrimage went down, but now it has picked up. For example, the British, in some sense, for example, remember in the 17, 18, 20 and that sort of thing, British went on occupying whatever land they wanted. Before there is a very interesting letter of one of the Rajas in South India. Therefore they were asking him, why do you have to have this land? He said, through my land, so many pilgrims go on their way to our, shall we say, Vameshwaram. Therefore it is duty of the king to provide facilities for them. For some, of course, come up with their own cards, some walk and that sort of thing. Before that tradition, for British, all these people are vagrants. That is this idea. They were walking. That is their only definition they knew. But the idea of the pilgrimage people, the idea was simply foreign. Today, it is foreign to many of the people who read in our English press also. They understand tourism and that sort. Because That idea was completely absent in Europe. That is this whole idea. There is only they developed as a tourist idea. Therefore, you have to understand in India, a pilgrimage is not a tourist. I'll give you two examples of it because in some sense it is a good example, both of them. For example, Dharmapal is one of the great persons in India who was the person who wrote about the conditions of the country, the British records in the 17th century. His 4 volumes are there. For example, he was the one who showed in our northern Karnataka educational system, in British records are there, that most of the people were not Brahmins. They 70% were all Vaishyas and Kshatriyas and Shudras and that sort of thing. And how it was, we had a system of what you may call as the senior students teaching the junior students. That system was copied by the British into their own schools. This is argumented. All of the Dharma policies. So, Dharmapal, as usual, like all of us, we were all influenced by the Westerners. So, we wanted to understand India. Therefore, he started traveling in 3rd class. Therefore, that stranger. One day, it was so many people were there. He asked them, because he was Hindi wala, he could teach Hindi. They said, we are all on a pilgrimage. Therefore, they said, what are the places? Of course, they had been to Puri, they wanted to go to Dwarka, and that sort of thing. They were not of the same caste, all different caste. They said, we cook our food separately and that sort of thing. And he asked them, you are coming here, don't you visit the bigger cities, Calcutta? No, that's not our idea. Our idea is to go to the Dwarka, we don't go to Calcutta. Then we go to some other place near Narmada, then we go to our Puri, and that's our idea. The idea was we avoid. There are many quotations in the Veda which people can't really appreciate. For example, let me answer quotation just to show. So you should use that quotation to say our Veda has everything on science. It says in the 3rd mandala again, 53rd sukta again, another verse. It says, Indra, as you know, every mantra has 4 parts. One of the parts is, Indra, in one muhurta, goes back to earth and goes back in 3 times, 3 pari cycle. Therefore, 3 cycle means, so Indra we can think of as our Surya. Therefore, 6 times one way in a muhurta. 48 minutes. Therefore, 6 divided by 48 is 8 minutes. So today's count for the time taken for sun's rays to come to Earth is 8 minutes 17 seconds. That is the idea. Therefore, using this, you can't really say, Russia, Veda is a book of science. That's not the idea at all. Therefore, such sentences are there, very interesting. Therefore, the worst mistake we can make about Veda is take some 4 or 5 or 20 quotations and develop your own theory. That's exactly what the Germans did and the British did and that sort of thing. So that's the worst mistake you can ever do, because it is not limited to that. They had what we call the extrasensory knowledge. To give another example, not Veda itself, most of you have heard of the Theosophical. So it is one of my newsletters also. For people, pardon me for repeating it. Therefore, there is Anne Besant and I think Leadbeater, he was called. They wrote a book in 1910 called Occult Chemistry. The occult chemistry is interesting because, apparently, this guy Leadbeater was a person who can, you take lead or magnesium, he could see what is inside. And therefore he uttered and our enemies and copied it. And he gave roughly the pictures also. Therefore all pictures are there. So people had excluded it, you see. So around much later, Stephen Phillips was a well-known, he was actually FRS also, Britain, with chemistry. Therefore somehow he got a copy of the book in Los Angeles bookstore, then he started reading it. Then lo and behold, he says, the diagrams I see are our diagrams of the Feynman describes in his 1970 book on this, all of these things, muons, this and gluons and that sort of thing. For he says the substance mass circle is there, you can see compare the 2 things and that sort of thing. This is what is called the knowledge beyond, which all of ordinary people don't have. So such people, even so, example is given because it is 1910, it was not only. So people, of course, in Vedic times had similar knowledge also. So the point I am trying to get across is, don't take any of the Western, I sort of subject the Western translators because, first of all, they did not have a deep knowledge of Sanskrit, number one. For example, for the West, for the Indians, anything is chalta hai, we know more of them. Whatever we do is the authority, number one. Number two, they didn't have, shall we say, the deeper knowledge of Sanskrit, where each word is not stuck with one meaning. All the languages in Europe, whether it is Latin or English, etc., they are stuck with the idea of a dictionary. You want a meaning of the word, you go to a dictionary and sometimes they give a 3 or 4 meanings, that's not the question, but the idea, but not. So in India we say, no, that's not the idea, it is a much, much more general than that. Each mantra, for example, can be interpreted in many ways. I already gave, for example, a frequently occurring word in the Veda is the word go. For all of you, in Kannada or Hindi or anything, it means the 4-legged animal, that's the idea. But is it the only meaning? It is the, for ordinary people, go is the cow. But take your own examples. You go to a temple, you see in the front of the structure is there. What do you call it? You call it as Gopura. Do you think it is city of the cows? For example, even today, when they hold the chanting session in the temple, it is called as Goshti. Goshti for the Westerners is a place where they put all the cows. That is this cow pen, that's what they call. Is it the cow pen? Goshti? The argument is, no, Goshti is not the cow pen. It is Goshti. Go means the cow or knowledge basically. Therefore, where knowledge is exchanged, easily cited. Therefore, I can give you at least 10 examples of simple words like so. Go in the Veda is not the sort of, when people say Brahmins want sort of go and Ashwa, you may think they may want cows. But what would Brahmins do with the horses? That's the idea. They would not fighters and they could not maintain their horses. For horse, all of you should know one thing. In England, one horse needs about 4 acres of land. That is his idea. So, why our diesel engines and petrol engines made such a big impact on England? Exactly that. Before it was taking away so much of land. That is right. Don't behold overnight before they could save it and everything else. Therefore, it's just like elephant, for example, is much worse in some sense. So, this idea that Brahmins all prayers are for go and Ashwa. Ashwa does not mean a horse. It means what we call as the life energy, prana shakti. Therefore, we want both the go, the knowledge, in its as wide idea possible, and the prana shakti, Ashwa, development of the prana shakti. And another qualification I want to give in all of it is, we use the words high, low, that sort of thing. And people always say, it was all right before you saw the space and that sort of thing. There, if you see, if you are in a globe, for example, for a earth, what is high and what is low? It is rotating all the time. Therefore, where is high and where is low? Therefore, we can see it actually. Therefore, they said, all you people are down. If you always pick up high things and low things and that sort of thing. Therefore, you are all in some sense sort of don't understand the modern context at all. True, but what do we mean by high and low? Very important question. Secondly, we use frequently the word sacred. We speak of the sacred river, sacred mountain, sacred place. What do you mean by sacred? That's again a good question. Because pilgrimage means I am visiting a sacred place. In Indian languages, it is a punya kshetra. Punya is sacred. Therefore, for example, Ganga, it is a pavitra nadi. Is Pavitra again another word for our sacred. Therefore, what is your definition of sacred? And what is your definition of up and down business? Yes, we will answer that. And last time even some of you had come, I had given the example in India of how words have different root meanings, but later they acquired secondary meanings. An example I gave you was the Ayudha example. Ayudha originally meant Ayu is the life, Da which supports. What is your Ayudha? For a person who is a cultivator, his plow is the Ayudha, his cow is the Ayudha. For a computer man, it is your laptop, that is your Ayudha. And therefore, for a cook, for example, all this, that is the Ayudha. So, life supporting. But one aspect of life supporting is when somebody hits you, you want to protect it. Then the idea of weapon came into the picture. So, that is a secondary meaning, which in the course of time, God completely wiped out the primary meaning for all non-Sanskrit varas. For Ayudha always means, for as I told you in the last, the Bengali rites, in this land of Karnataka, they even worship on Vijay Mahanavami day, the computers and that sort of thing, and they put this, they worship the scissors, they worship everything, they worship these people and that sort of thing. So, if we are speaking of another person from our own land, so that is this idea. So, Ayudha has, so this is not unusual. As a matter of fact, there is a book called Vedic Mathematics by Venkata. He quotes a point very interestingly, and it is there, which in some sense is a hymn for praising Krishna, hymn for praising Shiva, plus simultaneously, we have a way in which for each syllable we have a number also. Therefore, it gives the expansion for pi to 16 decimals, 3.1417 and that sort of thing. So, all of these is completely, shall we say, that is, they can't even envision these sorts of things. Another example I want to give you is, they always think of the Indians as illiterate and that sort of thing. But the counter example is, some of us may be illiterate, but even on the so-called the people who cannot read, we have produced some very great poets. For example, in Karnataka, northern Karnataka, for example, there was a lady, I forgot her, Bovamma, that sort of thing. And she was a person, of course, she was not sort of educated, she could read perhaps, but definitely not write. But from her mouth, thousands of poems came out. In the beginning, people asked, today a child is born, come and give us a song, she gave. And then people found out she has not only this, she can give everything also. Before new moon day, something else. Before now, somebody wrote a PhD thesis upon that actually. So this idea of decoupling the creativity from what we call as literacy is very important. And it is widespread in India, that is the question. It's not as narrow as we think at all. I give so many different examples are there. You see, for example, we always speak of, there is in a Kannada poet, she passed away about 50 years ago, Idigviri Amma. She was exactly the same person, she could read, but she was the one who composed lots of poems in Kannada in favor of our, what we call as the Visishta Advaita, that is Ramanuja's philosophy and that sort of thing. So she lived someplace in the Kolar and that sort of thing, the list of such. But also, they were all not Brahmins, they were all something what we call as the Shudra sort of community. So, what we have to understand about India is, again and again, that, see, even this is the point which Mother of the Ashram said. Mother of the Ashram said, even the so-called illiterate person in India is much more knowledgeable about the power of the spirit than most educated persons in Europe. She made a point. Because they have in a different world here, even without they look at it, they get from their parents, they look at things and that sort of thing. So, coming back to the old questions. So, what is high and low? That's an important question. And the Veda, by and large, start with a fundamental assumption. What is it? All things we see and hear and everything, whether it's a rock or a microbe, everything is built up out of consciousness, chit shakti. So we make a distinction between the power and the force, but the shakti good enough. So Chaitanya is consciousness, but Chitta use the word. Everything is built up of this chit, consciousness. You may ask what is consciousness? At ordinary human level, it is awareness. Before I become aware of you. But that's the only way I can explain it. So this consciousness has so many compartments of it world. And for each compartment there is a separate world also for it. There is a principle and a world. So bottommost is what we call as the material world, completely matter, our rocks, sands and that sort of things. But modern people like us should know one tablespoon of rock will have at least 5 billion bacteria is there before there is nothing called pure matter. So that is the idea. That is Anna Maya. That is Anna. Then we have the level of what we call the Prana, what we call the life energy. And when you think of the cosmic worlds, then I will come back to the individual world. Then we have the Then we have to think of the Mano, the level of the mind. So these three we call as the lower worlds. Okay, Anna, Prana, Mana. This prana is most important because people don't even recognize the need for it. In all of the Western medicines, they would rather not discuss prana. That is this idea. They discuss Anna and discuss Mana. Even Anna, Mana also is subsidiary. Thanks to our DNA valas, they think we can describe everything without saying anything at all. That is a different question. Then, upstairs we have three principles. Ananda, Chit, Sat. Ananda, the world of delight. Then we have the Chit consciousness, proper Chit Shakti. Then we have the Sat, existence. Don't worry about non-existence, that's not the point here. Therefore, lower three, Anna, Prana, Mana. Upper three, Ananda, Chit, Sat. The lower, higher, of course, are very high. If there were no connection at all, we would all be ordinary people. Therefore, there is a link world is there. It is called Vijnana. In the Veda, it is called Svar. In the Upanishad, for example, in the Taittiriya, it is called as Mahas or Vijnana. So don't confuse Vijnana with science, and that's all rubbish. Therefore, the three, lower three, upper three. And that is the connection. So, these lower three and upper three are separate, true. But there is a subtle connection between them. Anna has the properties of existence. Prana, the dynamics, as we call dynamics, contained with the Chit. And the Mana with the Ananda. And this Vijnana is the link word. In Satchidananda, everything is perfect, divine. And in our cases, it's all, everything is imperfect. Therefore, that knowledge is transmitted through Vijnana. So, this is what we call as the cosmos. So, what is outside is what is inside. Therefore, our inner world also mirrors the cosmos. Therefore, Annamaya Kosha is there, bottom. Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Satchidananda Kosha. They are not developed in it, that's all. Are yet to develop completely. Not even though Manas is there, how many people have developed Manas anyway? Anna, Prana, Mana. So when we say high and low, we say Anna is the bottom, low. Next is our prana, next is the mana. Therefore, there is no confusion for us when we say high and low in the ladder of the consciousness. That is the sign. Therefore, when a human being develops, what happens? And remember, these are all laws. Each one has a sub-worlds are there. Sub-worlds. For it is matter is not one thing. Prana, for example, when I spoke of this bottom is Annamaya, in the heart is of course our lung is a matter anyway, our heart is a matter anyway, but Prana Shakti is dominant. That is the idea. And Manas, of course, all of you know the material, that sort of thing. So, Anna, Prana, Mana. So, the whole argument is, we think Mana is the highest. It is Aurobindo and others who show. So, Vijnana is there. What does it do? Our Annamaya Prana, they are always fighting. They are all like what we call as the Padegars in Kannada or feudal lords in English. They have their idea and they want to protect it. Therefore, for example, a person tells, Annamaya tells him, I can't handle all this feed to take. Mana says it's not good for you, but everything is decided by Prana. That is the energy. Hey, I want to eat it. Finished. For it doesn't care for advice given by the Manas. No. And obviously the Prana, the body, simply takes all the punishments and one fine morning it says, I can't handle your demands, let the head is quit. That's what is called as death. That is this idea. The body says, I can't handle you. Prana says, okay, I can quit. Then everything quits. That is this idea. That is the end of the whole story. So the idea is, how can we establish equilibrium among them? That is where the Vijnana comes. Therefore, Vijnana is Vijnana knowledge, Vijnana Shakti, Vijnana Jyoti. And when that knowledge comes into our Anna, Prana, Mana, there will be, shall we say, Samarasa. What is Samarasa? In some sense, harmonization of all of them. Therefore, right now, our what we call as the soul, Jiva, is like a constitutional king. So whatever this Padagar says, he has to sign. Why? The argument in India always is, till other people ask him, he will not rule. That is this idea. Therefore, when Anna, Prana, Mana ask him to rule, then he will rule. Then he brings more harmony. That is the idea of Aurobindo developed idea of supermind and that sort of thing. So, at least this much you should get. When we use the word high and low, we are using the level of consciousness. Okay, number one. And you may say, is there support for it? Very much, very much. But then again, I will tell you, for example, in the first mandala itself, 10th sukta, Brahmanastva shatakrato udvamshamiva yerire. Vamsha means a ladder. Brahmana shatakrato, O Indra. Brahmanaha, the people who know the Brahma, the mantra, claim you yerire vamshamiva, just as they climb the ladder one step by one step. Those of you who have seen the biography of our Nobel Prize winner Chandrasekhar, so what is in the front? Front exactly is there. It's a ladder is there. And the idea is each scientist will put a one step in this ladder. That is this idea. So this ladder business is very much in completely in the Vedic stage. And so one idea is the ladder. Another important idea, it's not simple ladder only. There are, shall we say, space. Therefore, we speak of mountain climbing. We go, for example, people like me, we went to engineering a little bit. We climb down, we specialize in Veda. So we go up, come down, go to another peak, come down, another peak, we come down. That's the idea. That exactly is 1.10.2. Therefore, whole life is yet sano margo. The sano is peak. We go from one peak to another. But you are always at the bottom, you are not going to see anything at all. But when you start climbing, Indra himself gives his help. That is the idea, 1.10.2, first mandala, 10th sutta. So these ideas are there. So at least you should get in your mind. Ours is not simply one-dimensional thinking only of the ladder. We have broad idea of thinking of so many different types of knowledge. People always ask this question. We believe in rebirth. Rebirth is not that I will develop a Kshatriya always will be fighting wars. No, I will rebirth in a few years. Then I will maybe a musician. Maybe I will be a good craftsman, for example. Maybe I will be a painter. I will be a person helping other people, seva. Therefore, in different lifetimes, we create different, shall we say, opportunities for our own development. That is what we call as a rebirth. Rebirth is not idea of the punishment, no. It is an opportunity for systematic upgrading of our lives. Therefore, this much should be clear. What is it? For high and low, we use it very frequently, but they should not use. There is high and low at the cosmic level, high and low at the individual level. Second, I mentioned was the sacred, that is very important. So, sacred always means, remember, to put all of these, we use the single word called spirit or Brahman. Therefore, Brahman, for example, in the Upanishad passage, Sarvam Khalu Brahma, everything is Brahman. That's the idea. The Veda use the word Ekam Dad, that one. One in the Veda is not the numerical one, no. Therefore, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Apigitam Mukam Tattva Pushana Paurana, etc. That's where we had the idea. But, therefore, sacred means that when you approach a thing, always from the point of view of a person. A river is sacred when I have an awareness of the presence of the spirit in that place, or in that river, or in that object. Therefore, it starts from me. What is sacred for you is not sacred for me. Therefore, sacredness means awareness of the presence of the Supreme Spirit. So we think of the Ganges as sacred because we believe the Ganges represents the Chit Shakti, the divine waters coming from the higher levels and that sort of thing. We speak of the divine Kshetra, Tirupati, for example. So, this is the idea of a sanctity, sacredness. Therefore, people say, you Hindus are always hypocrites, you take sort of the Ganges, you throw all things there. That's exactly the point. This awareness of the Spirit is not constant. All of us have not come to a stage when we keep that idea of awareness at high level also. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So that is what Aurobindo, other one, integral awareness when they speak of, integral consciousness, etc. The word integral comes because we want to have that consciousness all the time. So sacred we use exactly for this purpose. What is sacred? Sacred is first of all a human awareness of the presence. So what is the word for Sanskrit? It is Sannidhi, Sarvam Nidhi. Nidhi is a treasure. Sannidhi is the highest treasure. Therefore, when we hymn to Aurobindo, Namaha Sannidhaye Tasmai. Who I am going down. Namaha Sannidhaye Tasmaha. Mahasam Nidhaye Namaha. The Mahasa is the light. The light for him, Namaha, Sannidhi. That is the way we are there. So, that point is the idea. So, the question is, human beings, being what they don't have this awareness all the time. They go there. And that is the reason you must have heard of the famous quotation of Sri Ramakrishna. See, people ask him, sir, you must have heard that these people who bathe in Ganges, all their sins will go away. Sir, and then he said, yes, it is true. when they he says, yes, it is true. When they are taking their bath, because they are full of this consciousness. But what do they do? These sins are not dissolved. They jump to the tree nearby. But when he goes out of the Ganges, when he goes back to the ordinary awareness, all of them will jump back on him. That is this idea. So the point really is, therefore, when you speak of persistency, your idea of the sanctity should be persistent. Then, of course, we don't throw all the bad things there, and that's a different question. So so places like or Ganges, or places like Dwaraka, all these places are sacred because so many people worship there. They come with full of awareness, and therefore that gives energy to the place. And not only that, you take a place, for example, how did the place become famous? Some naturally, like our Ganges and others, but some because some holy person decided that he will place a murti there, a vigraha. Therefore, he simply doesn't place it there. What does he do? He does some tapas, he will chant mantras and what we call as the initiation, diksha. Diksha, the root is iksha, to see, that is right. Therefore, then he places there and that becomes energized. So the laika, that is the murti, becomes energized. It is no longer made of wood material or stone. It is the murti of the presence. Then a question is asked, even if it went to the British Privy Council. Therefore somebody comes, therefore they destroy the temple. That place, does it lose its sacredness? Our tradition says no. And the British upheld that. Because went down, because so many more, even before the Ayodhya case, before it was not between two, it was a sick place and that sort of thing. They said yes. Whereas for the Muslim, whereas in a church, we pray. But when a church building is sold, that's out. There's nothing in the Bible that says that that place itself is sacred, therefore they can do it for any purpose they want. For the Muslims, that's not even true. For them, they have to have a place with a mat facing west, that's all. Even the mosque is not needed. But for the Hindu, when they establish a temple, that place is sacred. Therefore, afterwards, when the Muslim, the conquerors go away, they will re-establish the temple, and they have a right to re-establish the temple, rebuild the temple, and that sort of thing. For the importance of the value of this sacred place is even recognized even by Privy Council, let alone, he said it's not a RSS thing and that sort of thing. Much before RSS came into being, even there's this idea. Therefore, these are some of these fundamental things, our course, it focuses upon on bringing together all of these things. So, the point again in Veda is, we don't have a hard line between worldly things and spiritual things. It isn't that there is no line, yes, but your idea is to bring the spirit everywhere. So, there is a very beautiful Tibetan story. Our S.K. Ramchandra, the famous person, brought it to our notice. You see, that is the advantage of having the group of people. Once in a Tibetan monastery, a student, novitiate, goes to a teacher. When it asks the teacher, "Sir, when I am meditating, can I smoke?" That is the question. Remember, in that culture, smoking was perfectly allowable. The teacher said nothing to him with that idea. If you feel you have a need for Smoking, you are not doing meditation properly. And this student talked to one of his friends about that. And that friend was a little bit more brighter. He went to the same teacher, flipped the question. When I am smoking, can I think of meditation? Answer is, of course we can think of meditation. Therefore we are thinking of two supposedly different things, meditation and smoking. How they are interconnected. This is what is called as the real spiritual knowledge. That's the idea. Therefore, when you are meditating, if you are thinking of smoking, which means you are not meditating at all. The thoughts are going elsewhere. But when you are thinking of smoking, you want to bring in the idea of the meditation. I say, yeah, see, that's the point I tell all people, why we should sort of memorize the Vedic mantras when you are going in a bus. Before they were going to sort of intone the mantras yourself. That is this idea, instead of looking here, there, and that sort of thing. Without any benefit, you are going to get all of those benefits also. Therefore, this idea of the Veda, you see, it has lasted for 8,000 years, 9,000 years. And it is, our knowledge is not fixed. I told you, new ages, new people have added new dimensions. After all, Shankaracharya came, he is one of the world's greatest philosophers. And therefore, if you have to read our book by S.K. Ramchandra, the small book, people, the argument with Shankaracharya, even among Indians, is very few people have bothered to read him, for example, there is this idea. Shankara had great ideas, his idea of Advaita. Remember, he uses Advaita only 4 times. See, whenever we speak of Shankara, people like Ramchandra, and of course, like me, also following him, he only associates 3 things with him. It is his commentary on the Brahma Sutra and his commentary on the sort of Upanishad and his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. These are 3 things. All the others, the poems, it was done by somebody else and that sort of thing. That is his opinion. I concur with it completely. See, basically we think of 2 persons. The commentator Shankara versus the traveler Shankara. The traveler Shankara was the person who started the monasteries, who completed all this sort of sadhana, that sort of thing. And the commentator Shankara is the person. Therefore, you see, for example, our Shankara, in his time, Tantra was there. When you read, you should be, see, when you read the Sanskrit translation of a Sanskrit original, you'll be shocked. I myself was shocked. They read, he doesn't like, for example, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse called lower gods and that sort of thing. What is the example he gives? He gives the example of Ganapati. People who worship Ganapati and others, that's the example he gives. Therefore, he didn't care for it. Very simple. Therefore, you have to understand Shankara's viewpoint, where he exposed the idea that, for example, the whole of Shankara, there is a reference to Vishnu 20, 40 times, not even one reference to Shiva, not a single reference to Shiva. The whole of the Bhagavad Gita, for example. They are all in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya and that sort of thing. So, don't simply, without reading at all, jump to conclusion based on somebody's second half. For example, Brahma Satyam Jagat Nityam. First of all, it is not, it is only in the Viveka Chudamani, number 1. So, it is not according to me, the main works. Secondly, you have to understand what Mithya means. Okay? I'm telling it because it's, and the point really is, you see, Shankara's ideas were so, as Ramachandra does clearly state, it was Shankara's idea which were misrepresented by his own people who came after him. See, how do we know that? See, for example, when Ramanuja and Madhva quote Shankara, they quote specific passages, but they are not in the works of Shankara. What are they? They are in the popular works of so-called Advaita Siddhi and other sort, which were later people wrote. That is this idea. Therefore, even by Ramanuja's time, the original Shankara's works were actually had gone underground and that sort of thing. So, these are not also, most people I know of, they have never, you see, the Brahma Sutra Bhashya is a Bhashya. It takes a sentence, starts commenting. I tell you, it's very hard, not meant for ordinary people, mortals like us. But he wrote a separate thing called, what he called Adhyasa Bhashya. We mistake one thing for the other, usual snake and the rope, and that's a very simple thing. If we wrote a separate Bhasha, even Ramanuja and Madhva doesn't quote upon that at all. None of the Western commentators bother about it. This is what is called as transference of knowledge, very tricky. But that is the idea. To understand what is Mithya, you have to take a hard work of reading that part. So don't simply translate Mithya as the illusion, word as the illusion, all these propaganda words. So we should control our attempts at passing judgment on things about which we have not even bothered to scratch the surface. That's what I say. Shankara's philosophy is beyond the reach of most people. I say philosophy itself is beyond the reach of most people. That is the idea. We pick one sentence here, one sentence there, and that sort of thing. And the reason why I like Veda itself is it has very little philosophy. There are so many different viewpoints. It has prayers, it has maxims. It's how to contact the deities. Vedic idea is there is a supreme one is there. Associated with him are the very many powers. Agni, Indra, Soma, etc. But don't mistake, put it like Ramanuja. Ramanuja said there is something called as a soul, and all of them are like human body, they are like the arms. No, that's not the idea. The relationship between the one and the many is very, very, very subtle, and therefore I won't go into it. Agni, Indra is there. These are, on the human point of view, understanding the one. How can we understand the infinity? That the point is, infinity is a word for us, that's all. Therefore, Agni is there, Indra is there, Maruts are there, Soma is there. Agni, at a purely physical level, is our combustion. Agni, within us, is the power of digestion and all, Jatara. But Agni, the psychological level, is what we call as the power of willpower associated with wisdom. At the same time, take the second mandala, first sukta. Hey Agni, Agni, you are the Rudra, Agni, you are the Vishnu, Agni, you are the Brihaspati. It says all this. Therefore, in some way, identified with the one also. That is the question. Therefore, don't have the single dictionary meaning disease when reading Veda. That is this idea. Therefore, they have to have the proper idea. Indra is the lord of the divine mind. Soma is not a abbreviating liquid and that sort of thing. For example, the 10th mandala, 85th sutta says, O Brahmana viduhu Soma. What do the Brahmins know Soma? Nobody can taste it. Na ashnati kasyana. This is 1085.3. 10th mandala, 85th sutta, 3rd mandala. What is it then? It is what Aurobindo and Kapali Sastri. It is the, shall we say, we always speak of the happiness of joy coming out of work. When we are really doing a work very interestedly, consciously, we feel a joy around it. We see about the children playing for 10 hours without taking any food at all. And what is the material use for work? It is always, let us say, we want to make a craft, we want to make a sort of a car, anything else, or you want to cook. Why is material? All the material is life things, or plants and everything else. The Soma is already the principle of delight in all the living things. Therefore, it is principle of delight. Therefore, with the source of creation, that is your Taittiriya creation, Anandena khalu imani bhutani jayante. It is from Ananda all the things are born. Anandena jivanti. It is from Ananda all the things live. Ananda they go back. Therefore, this Ananda, delight, you see. So, when you do the work consciously, from the concealed Ananda in our potatoes, in our rice and everything else, it comes down. and we feel happiness. That's our cooking joy and that sort of thing. Therefore, that is the reason this work involves work always. This soma, release comes only after work. Therefore, they use the word sutta for that which is associated with work. Therefore, that is the soma, most important secret of the soma. Therefore, then the mantra says, the 10th mandala, apa, ma, soma, amarta, bhuma, we became altar, that sort of. Very interesting. Therefore, Veda, soma is that deity, and of course, our rebus are the divine carpenters. Ru means the truth, the bu gives shape. Therefore, they are the people who build our subtle bodies. And of course, Ashwins are the divine physicians, distributes the wealth. Of course, Brihaspati or Ganapati is there. He is the Lord of the mantras. And all the, in a small book on Ganesha, we give all the details of that. And Surya, the great Surya. Physically, remember, it is sun which gives support for all of us. It is, it is sun rays which fall on the bacteria and give us the oxygen and everything else. Physical only the physical sun. Behind that is the spiritual sun, which people, spiritual people, sada pashyanti surayaha diviva chakshuratatam. Chakshu is eye. Just like a continuous line from here to the sun. Sada pashyanti surayaha. The Suri is the wise people, see the sun. It doesn't mean they were living in Arctic Ocean and that sort of, that's not the idea. Therefore, the sun, that's the reason. And of course, our people have difficulties in a sort of, he is supposed the deity who will remove all of your diseases and that sort of thing. That is the idea. The fifth one, that is 50th Sukta, 10th Mandala says. Therefore, O Surya, Hridrogam Nashaya, destroy my heart disease within me and other things. So each god has a psychological power also. And also there is this idea of the one also, Ekam, who is beyond all that, but simultaneously he pervades everything. Therefore, the result of the one and the many, there is no hierarchy among gods. Not Indra is greater than Agni, Agni is greater than Indra. There is complete, shall we say, don't come in the Puranic stories. Therefore, when you praise Indra, Agni won't become upset. So, with all the prayers, go to the same one. Therefore, don't make all the mistake, I will recite all Agni mantras, therefore I will get benefit of all the other gods also. But when people recite Agni mantras, they want to develop their willpower, that's very good. That's the point. That's the idea. There is a motivation is also there, but it is not a local point. Therefore, in some sense, all of these in some place or the other, we will cover in many of these lectures and that sort of thing. So my request for is, read the introductory essays before the mantra itself starts in part 1. Part 2, I want you to at least scan them. The mantra I quoted, Shano Bhadra, it is there. As a matter of fact, one mantra we did mention, mantra Mauna Perit is the idea. This bliss is everywhere. Madhu Vata Rutayate. Vata is wind. Wind has madhu, honey. Rutayate, for seeker. So if you are walking in a path thinking of your problems, no way. Madhu ksharanti sindavaha. When the rivers flow, then it is your madhu. Madhu santu oshadihi. All these beautiful plants that we see, small flowers, big flowers, small leaves, big leaves, everything. Santu, they are full of honey. You notice that again. So madhuvata rutayate madhuksharante sindavaha madvinna santu oshadihi madhunaktam utosha so usha madhunaktam utosha madhumat parthivam krajaha madhujaurastu nakpita madhumano vanaspati madhumanastu sudyaha mardvi kavo bhavantu naha. Uses the word cow as usual careful. It refers simultaneously to the cows and also to the race of knowledge. Okay. And I don't think we have put that mantra there. Somehow it missed us. We'll put it back for you. Okay, but Aurobindo is there, first mantra in the second book we have. If our purpose really here is to make in some sense, give us the insight into all the questions you have. Any questions you have, we'll be happy to answer. If you send me the email, I will reply also again to you. But this point again and again is Veda includes everything. Veda emphasizes speech. For example, our relation to gods. See, remember in the Christian tradition, if you go to the Mount Carmel College, they have the fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wisdom. It's not my quotation. It is the front page of the Mount Carmel College. But what is our idea? Our idea is Agni to me, Sana Piteva Sunave Agni. Snaha for us, Piteva, Father, Suna, children. Supayano Baba, become accessible to us. Such as become friends. On the prayer to Agni, oh Agni, Agni, let me not be somehow, that is, friendship may not be cut for our friendship. Therefore, in another place we say, oh Surya, you are our ally, you are our brother, you are our soul. Our relationship is, shall we say, of the father to son, brothers, sisters, and to the gods. Therefore, it's not that we approach them as, shall we say, that's a different, but in Upanishad time, it came 1,000 years later. And there are obviously some peculiar ideas there. For example, it says, that the gods treat the human being just as human beings treat the cattle. That sort of ideas are never in the Veda, in some sense. Veda always is, So, the point is what I call the idea of the web of the creation. In the web of the creation, I am taking one more time, please excuse me. Idea is, everybody think of the web, huge web is there. In that web, I am a node, he is a node, he is a node, bacteria is a node, Agni is a node, Surya is a node, all of the nodes. We interact with all the nodes we have. I can pray to any node we want. Without interacting, they will come on us. And all of them is self-organizing mode. That is the idea. Therefore, in some sense, we are not, shall we say, subsidiaries and that sort of thing. So I can contact all the gods. Each node can contact as many things as possible. I can learn about the bacteria, I can learn about them. So the point is, the respect with which you create that node, that helps the, shall we say, the transfer of knowledge. Therefore, when I recite a mantra, just as a Bindu did in the morning, we recite a channel for the gods, the deity's grace to flow to us. If our prayer, most of you have heard of that, Dvija. Dvija means the power of the Lord is born in us. And that mentioned particularly ritual is already in the Atharva Veda, 11th mantra, 11th mandala, 6th sutta is there. Therefore, we have these mantras, therefore what do they do? They, through the mantras, therefore in our worship of the whole of the Veda, we think of the gods, we call as yajna. So today what we have done is, it is a yajna means coordinating, shall we say, structure in some sense, where all of us cooperate with each other. Therefore, in this yajna we are doing today, here are the students, here is the teacher, and the cosmic powers which make this transfer of knowledge within us and the development of knowledge within you. That is the yajna. Ya means yatate, ya means the knowledge, ya. The yajna is striving, so this is the importance, the idea of the yajna is, so the most important thing in yajna is, shall we say, this chanting of the mantra, most important. Remember the outside yajna we know, I will compare to it when I come. But another important point is the offering of the, how do you invoke? By means of each one. And always where there should be gifts along with it. Gifts for whom? So, for example, when we eat our food, we should put a little bit of food for the birds and the other things also. So whatever we can do, the idea of a sharing, that's the idea. That's part of this yajna. Therefore, how do you do? The idea is yajna. You learn something here, Tell your friend, such a good thing exists there, and that sort of thing. Therefore, that is the important idea. So you must have all heard of this, as Malhotra has always mentioned this idea again. Christians always pick out their Christian good news, So you are all sinners and Christ has come here to sort of take you away. But we people say, in the 10th mandala, 13th sukta, we are all Amutasya Putraha. We are all children of the mortality. Therefore, we don't need anybody saving us. We have to become conscious of the help which is already there. We are not conscious of the help, that's all. For we are already Amutasya Putraha. That comes in the 10th mandala, 13th sukta, first mantra. Vivekananda, when he quoted, he didn't quote the Veda because he had never bothered about it. He quotes from the repeated in the Shvetashvetara Upanishad. That's the mantra he quoted from the always refers to the Upanishad mantra. Therefore, in the course of time, I will handle other things, and thank you for hearing me. As I told you, my request again for people who came in a few minutes late, keep a book, please make it these questions, but write these questions. Give it to me, I will answer them. That way, you will ask what questions you asked earlier and what questions you want. And secondly, the Vedic people had an excellent idea. Whenever they asked a question, they already had some answer to that question. No question arises to us unless we already have an answer. We know it is not complete, but we say, before I have your answer, then when answer is given, you can compare your own answer with the answer that's given. So that is what is called the early educational process. Remember, it is the Western people who started the idea, child basically is an empty bucket, what they call as tabula rasa, empty bucket. So we don't say that we have so many births, we have so many accumulated knowledge, before in some sense it is all going to blossom and that sort of thing. Before there is the deity guiding you from within. Therefore, make a note and I will be happy to answer all the questions. And this is time for our coffee break. I have taken on 11 o'clock, I should have stopped, but I started late, 9:45. For doesn't matter. Have a cup of coffee and then our Shrikant Jamadagni will handle the next point. And here afterwards, I will come. I am a subsidiary player here, Jagirdar, and he will do. But as I told you, all questions I can answer completely. Jagirdar will also answer. For any question, the idea is after taking this course, you should not say, I have a cow doubt which nobody could answer. You see, the answers may not satisfy you. That's a different question. See, there is nothing like, so that's a different question, but you can, different types of answers can be given. That's the example, the reason I quoted for the smoking and this one as the example. So all subtle connections are there. Subtle and gross. Gross means a material. Subtle means beyond the material. That is the question which you can't touch. That's this idea. So I thank you all. Thank you.